Alright, we're going to continue to Casey Anthony's second police interview on July 16, 2008, and this was about 13:20 in the afternoon, so that would be about 1:20 in the afternoon. And I'm going to walk you through, again, like I did the last one, just picking out the main points and things that she has lied about, and that don't even make sense. So they began to talk about, they talked that morning, working on the case, looking for her daughter, and she's like, yes, and all that good stuff. They said, we came to here to Universal, we're sitting in a little conference room, obviously the door's unlocked, we just closed this so we can have a little privacy. She's like, They said, do we have a couple more questions? They said, yes, about saying that he exists truth, and the snowball effect, and how it goes. And then they said, we were about halfway down the hill, 3/4 down the hill, and it's a pretty big snowball, which means there's a lot of stuff going on. She's like, Then they ask her, and I can tell you just for certainty, everything you told me so far has been a lie. I can tell you certainty, let me explain why, since I left you this morning. Casey's like, They said they went to every address they told them about, looked up every name, talked to every person that they knew, talked to every person that she wanted them to talk to. She's like, I reached out, talked to your ex-boyfriend, I talked to Amy, they talked to Tony, they came over there, I've already talked to all the employees. She's like, and found out all these names you're giving me are people that either never worked here or have been fired a long time ago. So where we are now is that in a position that doesn't look very good for you. She's like, And they asked if this is going to be your escape hatch, so to speak. This point where they stop telling all the fizz, tell what's going on. And they're reading straight with her, and she's like, yeah. Okay, the question is, because obviously I know, and you know that everything you told me is a lie, correct? She's like, not everything that I told you. They're like, okay. Pretty much everything that you told me, including where Kaylee is right now. Casey's said, I don't know where she is. They said, sure you do. And I absolutely do not. And they go, okay, both myself, Sergeant Allen, and Sergeant Allen worked for Homicide Division for several years. We dealt with several people. We've conducted thousands of interviews between the three of us. And Appy's 20 years, so just between the three of us, we've got several years. And I can tell you for certainty that right now, looking at you, I know everything that you told me is a lie, including the fact that you know your child was last seen about a month ago, and that you don't know where she is. Yeah, I'm very confident just by having to talk to you the short period of time that you know where she is. Casey says, I don't. And they keep telling her she does. Then they say, we need to end it. It's very simple. We just need to end it. Casey says, I agree with you. I have no clue where she is. They said, sure you do. If I knew in any sense where she was, this wouldn't have happened at all. Listen. It wouldn't have happened whatsoever. They said the stuff about Zenaida, the caretaker or the nanny taking care of Casey says, it's the truth. It's not the truth because we went to the apartment complex. There's no person that ever lived there by that name. The apartment's been vacant since March. That same apartment. Now the apartment you pointed out to me, this 2-story apartment, that's an old folks home. It's right across the street from your ex-boyfriend's house, who you never mentioned. And you said you wrote the address down because it was across the street. That's a lie because I already talked to him and we've already been by the house and we already know you looked at everything we need to look at over there. Again, I can look at you as a person who's scared, who's concerned, and who's kind of afraid of what's going to happen because of something bad happened before. Or we can look at you as cold, callous, and a monster who doesn't care, who's just trying to get away with something bad had happened and trying to cover it up. She says, again. It's going to be one of those two options. Not as for much what I've already talked to you. Okay, you seem like a very bright young lady. You don't seem like someone who had no education. Alright. Now that we have to do it, what we have to do is to determine which way this is going to go. Are you a person who's scared about the consequence of what's happened, or are you scared about something that happened? Or are you you're really this cold, callous person who doesn't care about what happened. It's one of those two options. Casey said, I'm scared that I don't know where my daughter is. So, and Casey says, I would not have put my entire family. Sergeant Allen breaks in and says, hold on, I want to ask you something. Casey says, yes, sir. You're here because you want to. You're here to try to help, right? Casey says, absolutely. They said, no, he's forced her to talk. Now let me ask you something. I want you to put yourself in my shoes for a minute. Since you've talked to him this morning, in an attempt to try to find your daughter, you've given him bad addresses, okay? Uh-huh. You drove me all the way out here. We walked from the gate back here all the way to your office, right? Casey, uh-huh. Okay. To an office you don't have. We got all the way to the building, into the hallway, out here before you finally says, well, I really don't have an office here. But we were walking to the office, right? Uh-huh. Okay, so I mean, does any of this make sense to you? I understand all how that sounds. Let me just keep going on and on about rehashing everything that we've already talked about. Keep saying that they keep telling her they know that she's lying, which is great because one day they already knew she's lying. Then they say, what would you do? How would you see that person? How would you see that person different? And so forth and so on. And she says the horrible thing that happened is the honest to God truth of everything that I've said. I don't know where she is. The last person I saw with her is Zenaida. She's the last person I've seen with her. I see my daughter with. Detective Malich breaks in. I think Sergeant Allen is trying to get this. We know that's not the truth. We know. Listen. Absolutely is. Because if that were the truth, everything you would have told us would have been on the money. The addresses you would have taken us would have been on the money. Everything would have matched. We wouldn't be here at Universal Studios at a place that you've been fired since 2006. Would you try and explain to us, you know you got an office and all this stuff? That you know what happened to Kaylee and you know where Kaylee is? No. And Sergeant Allen goes in, that's not true. A lot of people around you get hurt. Your parents. Casey says a lot of people are hurting right now. Detective Allen says, and you know what? One person could stop that. I've been trying, she says. They go through everything again. And it says, as somebody at a babysitter's house, okay? Now this is a babysitter that lives in an apartment, okay? That's been vacant. I dropped her off at that apartment, Casey says. At those stairs. Oh, you just walked her, you dropped her off? Walked her to the stairs, that's where I've dropped her off a bunch of other times. Besides, just that day. Okay, when you dropped her off, who took her at the point? Zanny did. She took her at that point. Then they go on to say about her car dam stunts and her parents and all this stuff. The next thing, and then they go, the first thing you do, okay, is you lie to the detectives whose job is to try to find your daughter and to get her back into safe hands, okay? You give them all kinds of bad addresses to look at, okay? So far, I'm on track, right? Uh-huh. Then they go on. It makes sense to you that I'm trying to help the police find my daughter. I gave them a bunch of bad addresses. That makes sense to you? That's what I said, yes. No, I'm asking you, does that make sense to you? Casey, that part of it, no, not at all. They go about a bunch of bad addresses. Casey, I took him to the last place that I see my daughter. Besides that, I took them to other places that I seen Zenaida. Now I want you to tell me how that's helping find your daughter. We're here to come search your office for anything that will help us, okay? We're here because you brought us here, right, Casey? Uh-huh. Now, I want you to tell me how that helping us find your daughter. Casey says, it's not. Alright. Casey then asked, but everything we're doing to find your daughter, that's the most important thing in world to you right now. Right? Casey says, Kaylee's been up here. Maybe we could talk to security to see if she's come through the front. I know she's come to the park. She's gone to Disney. She's been at SeaWorld. Whoa, hold on. She's been to other places? Let's go back. We're here. It's backwards way of, no. It's, you know it, of looking. What do you think why do you think it's backwards? It's backwards because you haven't been truthful with, okay? Because I've been reaching, you've been reaching, huh? I've been reaching to try to figure out a place where she actually is. They said we're coming to, they asked about helping, how coming in the office, how's that helping when they're coming to an office that doesn't exist? She says it's not helping. Then the Detective Mallich comes in. So why did you do it? Casey says, honestly, I wanted to come up here and try to talk to security. Maybe pass around a picture of Kaylee. I legitimately have not seen my daughter in 5 weeks. I don't want anything to happen to her, except I trusted her with somebody that had been taking care of her, that had been taking good care of her, someone that she was comfortable with, and that I was comfortable with. What about Jeff? You said Jeff worked here about 2 months ago. No, he hasn't worked here for quite a while. 10 months? How long? It's been at least 10 months. Okay, he got fired. Which said was inaudible. Question, 2002. He hasn't been employed here since 2002. What about the girl? Juliet? Yeah, what about her? She left 2 months ago. That's exactly what she told me. Juliet never worked at Universal Studios. Detective Wells, Yuri, I'm sorry. Is the baby's daddy actually dead? That's a good question, Detective Mallich says. And then she says, I still have a copy of the obituary at home. Would your parents be upset if you had given the baby back to the daddy to take back for his grandparents, for his parents to take care of? He passed away last year. We hadn't even talked much before that. So Sergeant Allen asked, let me ask you this. Is the obituary in your office? No, I think I have a copy of the obituary at home. There's no office, so there's no anything anywhere. We've made that clear already. Casey says, so if I have a copy of it still, it would be on my computer at home. I'm pretty sure I kept that. I don't think that's something I would have gotten rid of. Detective Mallich, Vanny's never worked here. How do you explain that? Casey says, she has an ID. She has an ID with her name on it. Just like you have. I've seen it, she says. Just like you have an ID, I do have an ID somewhere at my house. Both of my parents have seen it. Both my parents know. Just like you have an office. Casey says, that I worked here. I used to have an office. Now, just like you have an office. No, I don't have an office now. It's fighting back and forth with her. Question, and we're here to go to what? To do what? We're here because why? Casey says to try to put things together. Our purpose of coming here was to do what? Go where? I guess there wasn't a purpose. There wasn't a purpose whatsoever to come up here. So we're wasting time, valuable time, which ought to be spent looking for your daughter. I'm trying to think of places I know she's been. You're not answering my question. Help me. You want us to help? Yes. Help find your daughter? I do want you to help. Okay, let's go through this again. We're here because we got here how? To do what? Because I lied. Because I brought you up here. And honestly, I'm reaching for another avenue. I want you to tell me how lying to us is going to help us find your daughter. It's not going to. Well then, if the main thing you want to do is to find your daughter, and you don't think lying to us is going to help us find her, why would you do that? Because she says, because I'm scared, and I know I'm running out of options. It's been a month. Detective Wells, what are you scared of? I'm scared of not seeing my daughter ever again. Sergeant Allen, okay, if you're scared. She said, I'm honestly petrified of not seeing her again. I'm going to stop that there because I'm running out of video, and I will continue this same transcript on the next video. Try to keep everything in order. Okay?